Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. We are right in the middle of our autumn series of videos right now. And if you were with me a few weeks ago, I showed you these. These are stunning autumnal UVDTF stickers. Now we've got the hedgehogs, we've got the UK animals, but we've also got these gorgeous bears, which clearly are not from here. Absolutely beautiful. Now this is the sticker that I'm going to be using in today's video. This is the beautiful red squirrel with some pine cones and a couple of itty bitty little acorns there as well. The mold we're using is this beautiful round druzy edge mold from Molds and Shapes, all linked below, of course, with your 10% discount. First thing we're going to do is draw out the colours from this squirrel. Now, the one colour that was screaming at me was copper. I've got a couple of different coppers, but in all, they're the same. So any colour really. If you have got your hands on these UVDTFs, then just choose the colours that are within it, or a contrasting colour, whatever works best for you. I'm also going to be using some dried pressed leaves in this video, which is different to the previous that I've done with the UVDTF sticker. But guys, I cannot tell you how much fun I am having with my autumn videos. Now, if you are new to my channel, I am an autumn winter fan. Like the biggest fan of autumn and winter, but not just the weather, not just the cold, chilly mornings, but the creations, the next 4 months, basically, the burr months. The burr months offer up some of the most fun, fabulous, and creative ideas to any crafter. Like, you're talking all of the autumn, the gorgeous, Halloween, if you celebrate Halloween. We're talking Christmas. We're talking bonfire night. We're talking s'mores. We're talking all of the yummy coziness. The next 4 months has it all. And I am absolutely in my element right now with autumn resin. Okay, Claire, calm down. Back to the video. What I've done here is I have used copper and brown to dust on the druzy edge of this mold. Copper and brown together. I want some contrast in there as well. So the PPE is going on. And what I want to do first is fill up the druzy edge before I do anything else. Before my leaves, before my clear layer, we're just going to fill up the druzy edge. Now, quite often if you use a mica powder or a chameleon powder, backing them in black can give you the best results. But for me right now, I'm just going to back them in brown because it's going to do what I need it to do. So we've gone for a dark chocolate brown mica in our resin, and we're simply filling up this druzy edge. Now, I do pour quite slowly because the detail in this stunning druzy edge is unreal. Lots of nooks and crannies for that resin to work its way into. Now, once I've filled it up, this is optional, but I do kind of like stretch out the mold a bit just to make sure that that resin has done its job and it's got down and in to every single piece of that druzy edge. Now, 24 hours later, it's time for our leaf layer. You can really put so much in here. You can chuck it all in. I really am keeping it simple. I'm just going for leaves. So I've poured down a clear layer of epoxy resin and used my heat gun just to run it over, just to make sure there's absolutely no air bubbles in this layer at all. And then I'm just laying down my pressed dried leaves. It is that simple. But again, you could go to town here. You could put in foils, you could put in pressed autumnal flowers. Now, again, it depends if you're using a UVDTF. You don't have to use the sticker at the end. This could be anything you want it to be. But yeah, just around the edge. Now, right now, for me, the UVDTF sticker is the main character. So at this point, I'm thinking all of these leaves are just going to be like, supporting role. They're playing a supporting role to the main character. That is the squirrel. So I just want these around the edges. I do not want these anywhere near the middle because I don't want them taking away from the squirrel. I just want them being the background, Equally, they were moving and they were moving quite a lot. So you do need to babysit these. If you're doing something like this, Resin travels into the center of a mold. So if you're here and you're new to resin, which so many of you are, if I walk away right now and I come back tomorrow, all of these leaves will have navigated and made their way into the center. They might not have made it to the center, but it will leave gaps between the brown edge and the leaf, and I don't want that. I want them very much just peeking over the edges. So it really is a case of keep moving them back, moving them back, moving them back until the resin itself stops moving them. So another 24 hours later, and it is time for the next layer. Now, I don't know if this technique will work as well on a cured resin surface. This is the chuck it all in technique with mica powder and alcohol. Now, it works an absolute dream on a silicone mold, direct to silicone. If you missed the last video, guys, check it out because, oh my gosh, it was one of my favorite results. Right now, I'm just drawing out 2 colors from that sticker, and that's the copper and the cream. We're not putting any more colors in this, but I was nervous because I'm pouring these onto a solid cured epoxy resin surface. On a silicone mold, they cling. You know, the minute you drop that powder, it's clinging to that silicone. It's not doing that, obviously. It's not going to do that on resin, right? So I didn't know if this would give me the same speckled, mottled, beautiful autumnal background as it would just going direct on a mold. But I thought, what's the worst that can happen? It's going to be pretty anyway, so we might as well try it, see what the differences are, and see what happens. My thought process was, as soon as I pour the resin on, it's just going to move it all out of the way because I'm pouring resin on resin. But hey ho, we're here to learn and we'll see what happens. Now I am using isopropyl alcohol to saturate those mica powders. The copper and the cream, they're getting a really generous spray of isopropyl alcohol. I'm not pouring it straight on. I don't want the mica powder to be swimming, but I want it all to blend together. This was, yeah, look at me, guys. This is when I realized there was no lid on the cream. The copper's got a lid and a tiny little hole, but the cream didn't. So I've just, anyway, yeah, I was worried. I was worried that it would just push all of that gorgeous mica out of the center. I was equally hoping that spraying it all with alcohol would set it in place. So once I've sprayed with alcohol, we're waiting for that alcohol to dry out, completely evaporate, dry out before we pour our resin layer. And this way I was thinking it's gonna stay there, right? It's all gonna just stay there because it's dry now. Now I did have to mix up a little bit more epoxy resin because I clearly had not mixed up enough. Sadly, honestly, it's always the way, isn't it? You've either got too much or you've got too less. I could have done maybe just 3 grams more would have been perfect. So we already know I'm going to get a bit of a sharp lip around the edge of this tray. But if you just watched the last video and you're here from that last video, you know I've got that solution. And this is the result. Completely different to if we splattered the mica powder direct onto a silicone mold than if you splatter it onto an epoxy resin cured surface. Now, it's just different. It's not necessarily worse or better, it's just different. There's lots of kind of like splotches and blobs of that copper. Now, because I know how I want to finish this tray off, I'm not too worried about that because the squirrel, again being main character, is going to take away a lot of that focus from those copper splotches. And we're also adding vinyl. Guys, I cannot explain how excited I was as soon as I put this squirrel down and realized that the colors are just popping against the squirrel. I was so happy. Now, this is a UVDTF, so you remove the sticky layer, you stick your squirrel down, and then you peel back the surface. You take away the protective layer as well. So do not forget to do that. If you were with me 2 years ago when I made that huge sugar skull tray, I had no idea what a UVDTF sticker was back then. No idea. And I was like, oh, there's lots of bubbles, but never mind. And so many of you were like, Claire, that's a UVDTF. You were meant to take the top layer off. I didn't have a clue, guys. But now we do. It's all good. I can share it with you. This is what we're looking like. She is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I didn't want to leave it here. I wasn't overly in love with the copper splotches. So I took to Patreon and I asked my Patreons. I said, I want vinyl on here, but I cannot think of a single squirrel related quote, phrase. What would I do? Like, what, seriously, what would you do? And thanks to Sandy, guys, Sandy immediately, within seconds, came back and said, do this. I was like, you rock. Like, you're actually amazing. This is why I need you guys. My brain does not brain. Sandy said it has to be nuts about autumn. And lo and behold, I went to my Cricut design space and the file was there. So it wasn't, it wasn't even something just completely out of this universe. Sandy knew, guys. She knew where to send me, where to direct me, and what would work best with this tray. Now, I did change fall to autumn, but both would work. Honestly, both would work. The autumn, I just had to type out myself using a different font because I still don't know how to separate files, honestly. The file itself says nuts about fall. I didn't know how to cut the whole thing out, but without cutting out fall, because again, I'm such a basic Cricut user. I literally just use it for words and cut them out. Now, I wasn't overly happy with the dark brown vinyl. You could only really see it in certain lights. I really wasn't happy, so I scraped it off, did another cut in a lighter vinyl. I wasn't happy again, so I scraped it off, and I decided it had to be white. It had to be. It was the only colour that was popping off of the tray for me, and I was so happy. Ignore my dirty sleeves. Ignore them. I've been doing all kind of messy stuff today. But yeah, the white worked so well. It not only was a total contrast to the green, copper and brown, but it also drew out some of the white on the tummy and the white around the eye of the squirrel. So it all worked and tied in beautifully. So huge thank you to my patrons and huge thank you to Sandy, who directed me towards this phrase, nuts about autumn, because I'm sorry, how cute is it? I also feel like adding the vinyl has taken away from the big blotches of copper. You can still see them. They just add character. I'm not taking away from them at all. I still love this tray. I still think it's absolutely stunning, and all of those colours together, and oh, it's just scrumptious. The final thing to do here was back on with the PPE and give it a final top coat. Not too much because we do want it to still be a tray, but just enough to fully cover that surface and secure that vinyl in. Now, at this stage, I was going to do something else. I was going to add to this tray, but A, I don't feel like it worked, and B, I would have spoiled the next video. So what I would love for you guys to do is hang out with me in the next video, and then we'll talk about it and see if it works. Because if you guys say, Claire, do it, I will do it. I will finish this tray off using what I make in the next video to really make this, completely different again. So anyway, another blast with the heat gun, getting out any potential air bubbles in this top coat. And she is a beauty. Look at her. The last thing for me to do now is wait for this to fully cure overnight and finish this tray off. So if you are here from the last video where I used the 4-in-1 Let's Resin sander machine, this is where I wasn't even dreading it. Like, I always dread sanding, but I knew I had this machine at this point. So this sharp lip is nowhere near as sharp as the one in the last video, but it still does need a sand. It would need me to grab sandpaper or a nail file and just go around the edge. So the video just before this one, you'll see that I used the Let's Resin sanding machine, and now I'm going to use exactly the same method on this tray. So again, it's not quite as much that needs to be sanded, but still this machine is going to take all of the hard work out of it. Now, this video is not sponsored by Let's Resin, but now I have the machine, I'm going to be using it probably for the rest of my resin career. So I'm spraying all around this edge with a generous amount of water. I'm turning the machine on. Now I have it plugged into the mains and you can barely see it, but I'm turning it up to level 3. This is the fastest speed that it will go, and I'm doing this in real time so you guys can see just how fast I'm able to sand this edge back to a smooth, touchable, I'm not going to cut myself edge. And once I've done this, then I'll be able to stick my cork feet on the background and it will all be wonderful. And I think I've gone around, twice? Maybe 2 or 3 times I've gone around the edge of the base of this tray to just reduce that sharp edge down to a smooth bottom, and we're done. We are done. I mean, game changer. Absolute game changer. All I do here is just a bit of a rinse of water, get a wet wipe, just wipe away all of that debris, and then dry the bottom of the tray completely and thoroughly and add my cork feet. And she is done. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Everything Autumn is just making me so giddy right now. It's unreal. It just all came together so well. Thank you so much to Sandy for telling me about this phrase, like nuts about fall or nuts about autumn. It would have never come into my head. This is why I need you guys. I need you. I absolutely love it. I think she's beautiful. The dried leaves, it all ties in together. I hope you feel inspired, and I will see you all in the next video, and all of the details for the mold and the machine will be in the description box. Bye.